Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central.
I'm not sure what we're doing here, but anyway, go ahead.
We've only had 2 hours to get all this stuff set up, and for some reason it ain't. But I guess we do now. Do we have everything working now? Well, welcome everybody to the broadcast, because apparently we haven't had the audio going to the broadcast. Would that be a Jeff Zekin?
No, it would be a malfunction of the tablet again.
Oh, blame it on.
That's what I'm doing.
Is this some sort of a presidential kind of thing? Put your headset on there, Mr. Mars. Are you going to join the broadcast? Are you leaving us?
He's gone.
Okay. All right. So at any rate, we apologize for the audio issues, and we are here. So, Jerry, tell me again. I'm sorry. We have 2 hours to get the show ready, and it never fails that we don't have it ready by the time
Jerry
we sit around and look at each other and thinking we got this knocked, which we don't. So, at any rate, please tell me about your car.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a 1987 Buick Turbo Regal, and that is commonly confused with the Type T, which Buick produced for a couple of years leading up to 1986. And it is a kind of an homage from the start of the Grand National, the Buick Grand National that came out in the 1980s that was largely under-heralded because a lot of people were looking at Corvettes and Camaros and Mustangs. But when Buick released the Grand National with this little V6 engine in it, turbocharged V6 engine, it really started to draw heads when I think it was Motor Week or Car and Driver, one of those two, got a hold of one of them and put it through its paces, and actually were recording sub 14 quarter miles in it.
Wow.
Off the showroom floor. And that is kind of where it got one of its monikers back in the mid 80s, which they called the Corvette Killer. Because even though the Corvette had a V8 in it and was more aerodynamic and weighed less, the Grand National and the Buick T-Type were beating that in a lot of different specifications.
Well, the Corvette had no horsepower.
yeah, that's true.
Well, I know, because I had a 77 that it didn't even have 200 horsepower, and it was an L82 motor. So,
Yeah.
they turbocharge a V6 and it kills everything.
Yeah, it was a pretty special engine, and Buick put it into the. They kept it in the Grand National, and they introduced a souped-up version of it called the GNX that they only produced less than 200 of them worldwide. So that was the only one you could get.
Forever and ever, 200?
Yeah, and they're extremely rare, as you can imagine. But I've personally
never seen one?
Never have seen one.
Wow.
I know that they're there's people that have them all over the country and all over the world, but I've never personally seen one. They were only around for a year, but 87 was the last year Buick put this 3.8-liter V6 intercooled turbo engine in any of their vehicles. And they did a lot of weird stuff during that transition. They took it out of the T-Type. They got rid of that, which was a standard Regal that wasn't all black like the Grand Nationals were. They put it in different color schemes, and they called those a Type T. Or a T-Type, depending on how you want to say it. But Buick got rid of the T-Type in 1986, and they still had the Grand National for this last year in 87, and they offered that engine in a couple of different versions of their cars. The Regal was still one of them. But in 1986 to 1987, they actually increased the horsepower and the foot-pounds per torque in that vehicle. So technically, that's the fastest production car that Buick had made with that V6 engine in it.
That 3.8-liter non-turbo, did it show up in any other cars?
The non-turbo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it came in the LeSabre and some other vehicles like that.
So they did. So it was around, and they just decided, well, we'll just use what we got, and put a turbo on it.
Yeah, and the reason they went away from it is because in the end of 87 or going into 88, they wanted to shift a lot of their production vehicles to front-wheel drive.
Right.
And they couldn't handle the torque and the power that V8, that turbocharged V8 put out. So as soon as Buick announced that no more rear-wheel drive cars, that was the end of that engine for good. So they did still have the 3.8 carbureted engine they put into some, but that turbocharger went away.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what happens if it breaks? I mean, is there any parts availability?
Oh, yeah.
Sir, if we could hold on just a minute, please. Thank you.
Nice.
So
if it breaks.
If it breaks.
If it breaks, there are lots of parts that you can still get for these things. Luckily, it's there's a whole community of people around the world that and mostly the U.S., but where you can get parts and you can order anything from the interior to the actual engine components and things like that. So it's not difficult.
That kind of surprises me. Now, did General Motors use that 3.8 for anything else? I mean, what did it show up in a Chevrolet or something?
Not to my knowledge.
It's strictly, was it made by Buick?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was made by Buick, not under the General Motors umbrella per se.
No, it was a Buick engine, and not to my knowledge that it was used in anything other than a Buick vehicle.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, so many distractions this morning.
Yeah,
I don't. What are you pointing at now?
We've
sir?
lost the camera up front.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't. I don't care.
Okay.
That's the bottom line with that. Thank you.
You had mentioned the colors, variations of colors. That is a brown?
No, it's called Rosewood Metallic, so it's kind of
Rosewood Metallic.
Rosewood Metallic.
You know, you got to wonder sometimes who comes
Yeah.
up with these
Yeah,
names
they've got
for
some
the
interesting
colors.
ones. Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah.
I
Got some interesting ones.
Well, yeah.
Let's go do some shots and think of some colors.
Well, that was from my era back in 1969 with
Yeah.
the psychedelic
Yep,
era.
yep.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that had any part
I
to
don't
play
know.
in any of that.
Could be. Tequila's my brand.
Is it?
Yeah.
There
Okay.
could have been some older, a little bit slightly older engineers at Buick still that were around.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So let me ask you, did you run across this car and say, I want that car? Or did you search for it?
It's an interesting story. So when I was in my early 20s, I had a 1987 Buick Regal, same color, everything, but it had the carbureted engine in it. It wasn't this version of it. And my father loved that vehicle. My granddad was a Buick transmission mechanic in Abilene, Texas for years and years and years. So that's kind of been a partial to my family. My dad actually found this one about a little over 10 years ago, and bought it. And so it's been in the family now for about 10 years, and it's ours now and has been for a while. But that's how we came across it.
Are you a Buick guy?
I wouldn't call myself necessarily a strict Buick guy.
I mean, how'd you get into Buicks? My dad was into Buicks.
Yeah. Well, I have always, and I think I share this with anyone in my family at least, have always had an affinity for that Grand National and that body style that Buick put out in the mid-'80s, and that's kind of where the drive to own one and to really kind of bring it out and show it, keep it clean, keep it stock and all that really comes from the really cool look of those solid black Grand Nationals in 1985 when they rolled out.
Well, I have to tell you that I actually owned one. Actually, my wife at the time had one, and it was a very popular car. It was second only, I think, to the Oldsmobile Cutlass at the time. That would be my recollection, but you know what? There's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, so don't hold me to that. But those two body styles, which were very similar, they were very popular at the time.
Yeah.
And loved that Buick Regal that we had.
Yeah.
There was no doubt about it. And it had the crushed velour interior. And I have to tell you, that may sound gross today, but boy, was it nice when it was new. Oh, you're not old enough. You don't even know. Are you? You don't look it. So there's that.
Do you drive it?
Oh,
Yeah?
she drove it here, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't driven. She drives it more than I do.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. So do you take it to any shows other than cruise-ins?
No, we haven't. We haven't.
Have you been here before?
Yeah.
Have
We've
you?
been here a couple times. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Actually,
we've missed grabbing you to talk to you about.
I've personally been here a lot, but not at the same time the car was here. My wife brought the car last time and refused to come on the radio with y'all. She was a little bit nervous.
What? Why? Yeah, you do. You've got the gift of gab. It's just fine.
What about the young man? Do you drive it?
Oh, he's only 14. He better not be driving it.
Well, do you drive it?
Jeffrey, you can't call him out in here with his parents here.
There's only like 8 million people listening.
Yeah,
Be all
exactly. No. So, have you ever put it down the drag strip?
No. I'm nervous to do that. I don't want to wreck it. I would like to do that at one point because there was so many.
It's a straight line.
Oh, I know. I'm not worried about wrecking it physically, hitting something
Breaking it.
more, damaging the engine
Yeah.
or something like that.
Have you had any engine problems with it? Have you done anything to the engine since you bought it?
Ask us that, didn't you? No, no. We have not had any. Knock on wood. No issues with it at all. The engine was rebuilt about 4 years ago to stock specs, so it's only got about 3,000 miles on the engine, which is another reason I'm taking it pretty easy on it. No, I haven't taken it on a strip anywhere.
You want to, though?
Yeah, I mean, it would be
just to see.
Be fun. It would be fun. I hear so many stories of, Buick being very conservative on their specs when it comes to horsepower. I think that one was rated at about 245 horsepower.
So you've not even put it on a dyno?
Not been on a dyno.
And
no.
you said that the factory was sub 14s.
Sub 14s, yeah.
So don't you want to beat that?
Yeah, I would like to beat that. It would be cool. Yeah,
that'd be a good goal.
I need to get him driving so he can do it.
Well, he's sub 14 as it is.
Yeah.
You know, we have a very special guest on the phone with us right now. He's fumbling with the phone.
Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, King Conrad DeLong.
Yay.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Well,
I figured if I couldn't be there, I'd have to tune in.
Yeah, well, it's good to talk to you. So you've been hearing the conversation about the Buick Regal Turbo.
Oh yeah, it had the crew over at Warren, Michigan at Chevrolet extremely upset when it was faster than a Corvette. But Don, you're right. The reason it was faster than a Corvette is the Corvette engine was so anemic at the time. But yeah, Buick really turned up the wick on that 3.8. Actually, that 3.8's been around since 1965 when Buick first came out with it, and it was what they called an odd fire V8. And then they did some stuff to the crankshaft to make it even fire. And it was in production all the way through probably a derivative of it was the 3800 series engine. And that was in production all the way through 2004.
And I guess that's what I remember, the 3800.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, because it was very common back in the day.
Oh, yeah. And the 3800 was in everything. It was in Oldsmobile, Buick, not GMC, Oldsmobile, Buick, Pontiac, and Chevrolet.
Didn't they also use it in some trucks?
Yeah, they did, but it didn't go over well because it didn't have a lot of torque. It was like 1 year only they used it in trucks, and then they switched to the 4.3 liter.
Got you. Uh-huh. Well, I'll tell you.
The Buick Type T, very unusual car because it was the gentleman said, it was the predecessor to the Grand National, but very much of a sleeper in its day. It wasn't until the Grand National was produced that people recognized what the Buick Turbo V6 were. Pretty much everybody before that were, riding around in mom and pop's Buick whipping up on the Corvettes.
Well, I have to tell you that I remember when this particular car came out, we hot rodder guys had no clue. And there was this certain set of weirdos that, and I mean that sincerely, no offense, but it was this certain set of weirdos because, there's always those guys that are on the periphery. You go, really? What? I don't get it. Kind of like in, what was it? The Asian guys in the movie American Graffiti that had the hot rod that whipped everybody on the street, and everybody's going, oh, I don't get it. What's up with that? Yeah, well, that kind of fell into the same category of this car because it's like, okay, well, I go to a cruise-in somewhere back in the day, and there's this turbocharged motor and a V6. How could that be competitive at all?
Wimpy.
Yeah, there was very much of a subculture of people that were modifying the Buick Turbo V6. But you got to remember, back in the 80s, 86, I think, it was very popular at the Indy 500. It was a motor of choice, and it still holds the lap speed record with Roberto Guerrero at like 242 miles an hour at the Indy 500.
What? That motor?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the Buick V6 Turbo. Because back in those days, you were allowed to run larger turbos with a stock block engine. And the 3.8 liter was a stock block engine. So, yeah, very not just competitive, it was to a degree dominant.
Wow.
Only Conrad DeLong
Yeah,
would
exactly.
know information like this.
Well, you know, he is in his lair.
He is in his lair. Yes, and we hope that lair is
sitting
doing.
here watching the hopefully the prelims for the start of the 24 Hours Le Mans, and it's raining.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, well, they clearly understand how to race in the rain, whereas NASCAR does not.
Oh, isn't that the truth? Well, was that a Wreck Fest Dakota a couple of months ago?
Well, how about the Wreck Fest last weekend at Indianapolis with the curbs?
Oh, I saw that.
Ripping the fronts of the cars off.
Oh my God! They would go off track and they'd run across an orange. Pardon us for getting off track here, but speaking of off track, the orange curbing so people wouldn't go there, and they did, and it launched the car, all four wheels off the ground, completely destroying millions of dollars of race cars. Yep. Who dreamed that up?
Well, I think it's part of the track. It's part of the curbing.
No, it's not part of the track.
No, it was
They
a
use it
metal
as part
curb
of
that
yep.
they had put in to make sure they didn't cut this corner short. And then eventually that metal curb kind of lifted up, and then it was catching the front splitter and just basically ripping the whole front end off the car.
Exactly.
Yeah, ripping it underneath the car,
right.
destroying the entire thing. I was taken back by that, but
I wonder if there are actual production numbers to say how many of those Buick T-types came in that color. That he named the color, and I can't recall what it was. I was going to say raspberry metallic color.
Rosewood.
Rosewood.
Close,
That's
close.
That's directly from the marketing department of Buick.
Well, they were smart enough to put a hot rod motor in that Buick.
Yeah, and apparently it's very reliable, which is kind of surprising.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, that Buick 3.8 liter was extremely reliable for the whole run of production. That's kind of why they went ahead and spent money re-engineering it to make the 3800, because when they made the 3800, they actually put balance shafts in it to try and smooth the idle out as well. But it was extremely dependable. And then you got to remember the 3800, later in its years, ended up getting a supercharger on it as well, so that they were putting out close to 240, 250 horsepower with it again. The people who were tuning that the Turbo V6, they were getting 500-600 horsepower out of a stock block motor like that, without a whole lot of heavy modifications.
So
most of those modifications were done to the
the
turbo and the airflow.
I have to ask about turbo lag. Does it have any?
It does, yeah.
It does have
sure.
turbo lag. Because, back then, if I'm not mistaken, Conrad, the turbo technology just wasn't there. Obviously, they understood about the turbo, but they hadn't really refined it to the point where they were able to get most of the turbo lag out of it like today.
Oh, yeah, and part of that's because it was a big turbo, and it just takes a bigger turbo time to spool up to create boost. Exactly. So that's where brake boosting, people learned how to brake boost, so they power brake the car, get it up on boost, and then launch.
Well,
So
of course.
That turbo actually put that amount of hundreds of horsepower onto that vehicle, onto that engine. You said it was 240, and then with the turbo close to 5?
Well, with the modified, no, it was 240 from the factory, 245 from the factory.
With the turbo.
With the turbo.
Okay, all right.
But before that, it was probably 160 without the turbo.
Okay.
So, but once they started modifying it and building the boost on the turbo, seeing 300, 400, 500 horsepower wasn't difficult. And then he mentioned the GNX. The GNX actually had a 300 horsepower motor in it from the factory. And it was it had a ceramic impeller turbo in it, so it was even lighter, and they did that trying to address the turbo lag issues.
But that's a whole different animal. I saw somewhere not too long ago on television somebody talking about the GNX, and I didn't realize that there were only 200 of those made.
Right.
Yeah, it was a very low production, and you'll see them cross the auction every now and then. And there was one went through Mecum. Oh gosh, It went through this year, and I can't remember. It might have been Indianapolis or something. And it still had all the plastic inside of it. Had less than 12 miles on it.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
So an extremely rare car to have, and probably not something somebody would be driving to a cruise in. Probably something somebody would trailer to Autorama or something like that.
Hey, can you stick with us?
Sure.
Okay, well, stay with us because we need to take a break here because Mr. Mars has a review of the Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yay.
Are you ready to do that, Mr. Mars?
Grand Cherokee L.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's hear about the Jeep Grand Cherokee L.
This is the new vehicle that they've came out with the Grand Cherokee that comes in actually four different trim levels. We had the Summit Reserve 4x4. Now, what they've done is taken the Grand Cherokee and they've kind of redesigned it. They've made it 15.1 inches longer. The wheelbase is actually 7 inches longer, and this is also they can get the third row into it.
This is all new.
All brand new stuff here.
All right.
And it actually ends up being, it's only 3.7 inches shorter than the new Durango, as a note. But this gives it 6 or 7 passenger seating, depending on how you configure the second row, which comes standard with captain's chairs, but we'll get to that in a moment. So it is a brand new vehicle. It's got the 7-slot grille, but it's a narrow grille across the front of it. Kind of goes in with the headlights and the new style of headlights that are there. Got some nice looking, kind of, to me, very straight looking premium type lines to it. Comes with LED headlamps. Got a long hood with a low belt line to give it that kind of a premium quality look to it. Very sleek looking. We happen to be running on the 21 by 9 inch alloy wheels for it. Now, I want to note we have the 4-wheel drive, but you can get this vehicle in a rear-wheel drive model. So if you like the looks of it, you're not looking for the off-road capabilities of it, there's the rear-wheel drive for you. Now, on the inside of it, this thing is just, for a Jeep, this is way over the top. Palermo leather seating. The front seats are heated and vented. They got bucket seats there. The second row is standard at this
my
level.
friends that know me call me Palermo. Just wanted to say that. Just want to throw that in, Palermo.
Well, my friends call you something else, but that's okay. So the second row.
I didn't know you had any friends.
I got one.
One. Okay.
So the second row is standard with bucket seats on it. Now, those are heated and ventilated as well. And the third row, it's power up and down. It's got 2 buttons on it, so it raises and lowers it back down into the floor flat. So you got your 3-row seating there. You can get an optional bench seat in that second row, and that's where you're going to get your 7-passenger seating from, but it is optional. So up front, you're going to find a 10.1-inch display. That's where you're going to get your Uconnect for all your convenience controls, your Apple CarPlay, your Android. It does have a 10.5-inch gauge display that's really nice and big for the driver. Got a surround view camera on it. Got the 19-speaker audio with a 950-watt amp Macintosh. So this is some premium brand stuff inside this vehicle. Fold the seats down. Second and the third row, you're going to get 84.6 cubic feet of storage space. Now, up under the hood, now this vehicle weighs over 5,000 pounds, but under the hood, you're going to find that 3.6-liter turbo 3.6-liter V6 that is the workhorse for the Stellantis, I almost said FCA family. 293 horsepower, 257 pound-feet of torque, backed by an 8-speed automatic. Now, you can get a 5.7-liter engine in that. And the tow rating on the V6 is 6,200 pounds, but if you want to bump it up to 7,200, that's where you got to get the 5.7 engine in it. EPA says you should be looking for 18 in the city, 25 on the highway, 21 combined. And that's going to give you a 600-mile range in this vehicle. I got about 19 on mine the week that I had it. So, again, that 5,000 pounds, this thing weighs over 5,000 pounds, so it helps give you that smooth ride. But the V6 does provide plenty of power for this vehicle. Got 5 drive modes: Sport, Automatic, Snow, the Sand, Mud, and the Rock. It also has the throttle lift suspension on it. Now, that's the air suspension, and it will pull it up 4.2 inches of lift. So it'll get you up higher, and with the 4-wheel drive setup, you can actually cross 24 inches of water in this vehicle, it says, according to Jeep. So if you're looking for something to compare it to, you're going to look at the Ford Explorer. Because you're going to think,
this to.
Well, I know, but from a size perspective, because you might think that this is a full-size SUV because of the way it looks, but it's not. It's actually going to be their mid-size, because that's where the Grand Cherokee runs. So you're going to be looking at the Ford Explorer to compare it to that starts at $32,925, maybe the Kia Telluride for $32,190, or the Honda Pilot for $32,550. Now you can get a base Grand Cherokee L for $36,995. You can get the base.
Who wants that?
Well, nobody, because it's got cloth seats and
No.
it's a stripper model. You can get a base Grand Cherokee L Summit, the trim level that we were in, for $58,995.
Now you're talking.
We had a couple of little things on it, and I was really surprised
Some little things.
to find that the MSRP for this vehicle as tested was $64,280.
Wow.
Now you're
And
talking.
there's a list of stuff that goes into the safety features and stuff I didn't even get into because we don't have time to get that detail, but there's a ton of stuff in this vehicle.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting a chance to drive it if I ever get back into press cars again.
There you go.
Just saying.
Just say it.
Hey, I want to remind everybody that the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available from your favorite podcast provider. In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break.
Let me tell you about a locally owned and operated group of dealerships called Bayway. Bayway owner Daryl Wisniewski is born and raised right here, and he knows Houstonians better than anyone. Bayway Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, Bayway Lincoln, and Bayway Chevrolet are managed by Lincoln Stahl. And when you get to know these guys, you'll want to become part of the Bayway family too. Feel good that you're part of Houstonian-owned Bayway Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.com, BaywayChevrolet.com, and BaywayLincoln.com. Remember the name, Bayway. Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier monthly car cruise-in, returns Saturday, September 18th at 2 Lupe Tortilla Mexican restaurants in Katy and inside the Loop on the Southwest Freeway near Kirby. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone's invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods at 2 locations. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy, and inside the Loop on the Southwest Freeway near Kirby. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupe founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, inside the Loop on the Southwest Freeway in Kirby, and in Katy on the Grand Parkway just south of I-10, where you'll see the In Wheel Time Car Show. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise-in, September 18th, 8 to 11 a.m., weather permitting. Gulf Coast Auto Shield has moved to a more convenient location. Now you can visit John Gray and his staff of dedicated professionals at their new shop on the South Sam Houston Parkway between Belford and Airport in Southwest Houston. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is the best at paint correction and ceramic coatings. Clear bras and custom wraps are specialties that only Gulf Coast Auto Shield installs with award-winning accuracy, and all their services come with a warranty. Lamborghini, Aston Martin, Porsche, and Ferrari owners depend on Gulf Coast Auto Shield for their specialty services, and you should too. The In Wheel Time Corvette and Cutlass have both been massaged by Gulf Coast Auto Shield, so isn't it time your vehicle visit their new shop in Southwest Houston? Call John Gray today at 832-930-5655 or visit online at gcautoshield.com. That's gcautoshield.com. Paint, coatings, wraps, and more at gcautoshield.com. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.